Dr. Başal is an associate professor in the Department of Educational Sciences at Yıldız Technical University in Turkey. He worked at the English Language Teaching Department of the same university for 8 years and at Minsk State Linguistic University, Belarus for a year. He also previously served as the co-manager in the distance education centers of 2 different universities in Turkey. His research publications and research interests include teacher education, web-based language learning and teaching, use of technology in language learning and teaching, instructional design, corpus linguistics, and language teaching materials development. He has authored and co-authored publications in well-known journals such as the British Journal of Educational Technology, Journal of Education and Teaching, Innovation in Education and Teaching, International Journal, and Journal of Technology and Teacher Education. Now he will be talking about flipped learning in ELT within the context of instructional design.
Thank you for the nice introduction and for all the things. I'm just a researcher, a teacher, and a teacher trainer. I would like to thank my dear colleague, Dr. Başal, for inviting me to such a nice conference. And I would like to thank all the members of the organizing committee. I know how it's hard to start a project and also finish the project. After this conference, after these multiple events, I think they will be working on the conclusion report. So this is very important. Why? Most of the time we can see publications and we can see blogs and websites related with flipped classroom in the higher education segments. But it's really very hard to find some projects or some academic publications in the field of K-12. So this is really very important. And I would also like to welcome all those people, all those teachers and colleagues from all other partner universities. Before I jump into my talk, I would like to highlight the importance of this conference because flipped learning is everywhere. When you Google it, you can find many articles, many projects related with flipped learning, but we don't know actually what exactly flipped learning is. Okay, this is really a problem, and I'm not claiming that I will solve this problem because there are hundreds, if not thousands of definitions regarding flipped learning. Now, assisting our students in their learning journey is and should be at the center of attention. This is really very important, and flipped learning is a way for assisting our language learners. Now, this is actually my outline of the talk. I went through some questions, which are, what are we actually flipping with the flipped classroom? Just, I mean, is it the inversion of in-class and out of the classroom? Are the recorded videos essence of flipped approach and what we want to achieve with flipped classroom? Actually, I started my classes, flipping my classes, starting 2010. I also published articles on flipped classroom. One of them got nearly more than 400 citations. It is called The Use of Flipped Classroom in Foreign Language Teaching, but it's water under the bridge because I'm developing myself, so my ideas has changed a lot when I learned more about flipped learning. Much of my ideas, as I said before, have changed based on the availability of technology, the growing availability, the growing affordances of these technologies, and also the research conducted on how people learn, and also the research on how people can teach better and better and to assist their students in the way. Now I just skip this part and please see the screen. A picture is worth 1,000 words, but when you Google flipped classroom or flipped learning or flipped approach within the images, you may come across tens, if not hundreds of pictures, nice pictures, fancy pictures related with flipped learning. They are really cool pictures, as I said before, fancy designs. However, all those pictures are really very simplistic representations of what flipped classroom is. If we understand flipped classroom from these pictures as only recording the videos about content of the lessons and providing these videos outside the classroom, and also do some kind of activities in class by the spacing of time, this is a very, very misconception thing. Now, we can use some kind of LMS emails, or we can use some kind of closed Facebook groups or WhatsApp groups to use flipped classroom. But flipped classroom is all about actually instructional design. It is our search effort to create a favorable learning environment for our students. Flipped classroom may be a very, very good answer to how we can help students learn better and better, or we may say best. This is actually a question of how we can design an appropriate, way of flipped classroom. Now, I just Googled flipped classroom, flipped approach, and flipped learning. I changed the words, keywords, and it is really shocking. There are thousands and also millions of Google pages related with the flipped classroom approach. There are so many iterations of flipped classroom in the literature due to the, as I said before, growing availability of technology and also the affordance of it. While we are talking here, I am sure that any blog page of a teacher, any scientific article of a researcher, any YouTube video of a teacher came up with new ways of implementing flipped classroom approach. So the numbers of new flipped classroom implementations are on the increase. But I see these numbers as an effort to understand actually what flipped classroom is. So we don't know much of these blog sites, much of these web pages just throw out some ideas about flipped learning, and they are all about recording the videos and sending them to the students outside the classroom. But this is not flipped classroom or flipped learning approach. There is some kind of misunderstanding here. We need to understand flipped classroom right if this instructional approach to be effective in helping our students better in their learning trajectory. If you want to understand flipped classroom as the only inversion of what we do in class and what we do outside the classroom, if we use videos including some sort of lecturing outside the classroom, if we leave students alone with the lecture content outside the classroom, and leave all the higher order thinking skills for the inside of the classroom and leave all the lower thinking skills outside the classroom, then this misunderstanding actually happens. There certainly exist significant problems in this kind of understanding. I absolutely think that such an attempt is really difficult to achieve. What I want to underline is we should get the essence of what flipped classroom is. I just want to throw an idea these men coined, as you see in the slides. It is 5-minute university. Okay, have you ever heard of what 5-minute university is? Anyone? No? Okay. Now, what I want from you is, I think I can use my teacher voice and there's no problem. Can you hear me at the back? Yeah, okay, no problem. Now, what I want from you is to think about this concept. Why these men came up with such an idea in 2012, and it's also relevant in our time. So please discuss this idea, the underlying reasons why these men coined 5 minutes university with the person next to you on the right or on the left, then say something about it. What may be the possible underlying reasons for coining up such an idea? 1 minute university or 5-minute university. Okay. Why? What is it? What may be the aim of this method? We have 4 years of education in university, maybe prep class, 5 years, maybe not faculty 6 years. Okay, so 6 years, sequence into 5-minute university. Why? What is the reason? Actually, these ideas really funny when we explore the years that we spent in our university years, but he is very, very serious about it. Okay, so let's find the underlying reason for calling primary university. I just want to learn whether you are talking about Michael University or other what we want to do outside. Okay, the clock is ticking. Last 2 minutes. Okay, last 2 minutes. I think some of the people is talking about what they're going to do after the conference in Ankara. Windows, like, I don't know. Okay, what I want to say is, we have this day interview that take 5 dakikada 5 dakika. It takes much time to do 5 dakika, but right now, it's reality. Okay, but this is possible. Okay, the time is up. Now, I want to hear your voices. Yeah. Please, yeah.
Okay, I think the purpose of the 5-year university is not to teach, but to make. Yes.
Eager, no problem.
Okay. 5-year university is not to teach something, but to make your students question something or make new concepts about the subject. For example, in 5 years you can give enough data to the students to question the data and taking the input, then analyze and synthesize the new concept. So that instead of even the abstract and making, expecting them to understand the subject, you can just let them produce new ideas about the concept. Then, so that you can enable them to learn and produce something simultaneously.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing your idea. By the way, you're so optimistic because this man is not joking. Okay, this man believes that 5-minute university is enough. Okay, forget about all those universities having long years of education. I will open a university, and within 5 minutes, you will get a diploma with $20. Okay, and included many things, pictures and other things. Any other ideas? Yeah, please.
Is it me or behind me? Is there anyone?
You can use your teacher voice.
Exactly. So we were focusing on the time element here. We said, as we discussed in the previous sessions as well, we are not to provide the knowledge. So they are taking this and they are saying, in 5 minutes we're going to show the basics and then...
Do you say he is aiming to flip the classroom?
I think so, hopefully, with the constructivism and everything. The other one was maybe because of the recipients, like their attention span. In these days, they can't watch a movie, a full movie. We're trying with our students, some of them are falling asleep while they're watching. So just giving them 5 minutes is enough for them to, stay focused.
Very good. Thank you. Actually, Meltem Hocam bombarded us with many terminologies in her speech. Actually, we are bombarded with it, so we try to understand all those things, and that was really cool. Any other ideas about 5-minute university? Yeah.
We thought that it's like taking a pill. In this era, we are just accustomed to getting information too fast thanks to social media and internet. So that's why our aim is to learn the information fast, and then that's it. I think it's like a pill.
So, as far as I understand, you will open a 5-minute university and you will be the rector over there.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think so.
Jeremy, might be a new university if you want to work. Okay.
5-minute university, yeah, let's open it.
Okay. At the break time, let's come to the other. If you will be a rector, okay, we will be there. Okay, one more from there. Yeah.
Something I noticed actually today, as a teacher, if we can do something ourselves, we shouldn't ask the students to do it. For example, taking notes about the skills of the students. We shouldn't ask, okay, take little notes about what you can do, what you cannot. If we can do it ourselves, we should do it ourselves, because otherwise the students will get bored. And if the students...
Okay, you are telling arkadaşlar böyle diyor. Huh? But you're telling your own situation.
Yeah, from like a bit of experience thing. Because students can learn these things themselves, and everybody has their own time of learning.
Okay, so do you think that there is no need for teachers to be in front of the classes, teaching and giving information to the students?
We should make them curious.
Google, huh?
We should make them curious. We should make them want to learn something.
Okay. One more, yeah.
Maybe
I got shocked when you didn't raise your fingers because you all the time were reacting quickly. Jeremy's talk and your section, and I really. Okay, yeah.
actually this is our shared and I think in this session 5 minutes is enough time to teach people how to do and give them the required skills to let them build their own knowledge on it. So you can basically give a template or skill and ask the students to build how to do it, these kind of things, and leave most of the things to the students. But if you said the teacher's role is not so
Well, we are talking about a full-time university. Imagine your university for years with prep class, 5 years, maybe if you are a student of the medicine faculty, 6 years. So this man is claiming that, yeah, I give a whole diploma within 6 minutes, not 5 minutes. For education faculty, 5 minutes. Okay.
It sounds more like a fraud to me.
Oh, okay. Then let's listen to this man and learn about his idea. The caption subtitle is automatic, so there is some kind of errors in it.
I find that education, I think it don't matter where you go to school, Italy, America, Brazil, it's all the same. It's all just memorization. And it don't matter how long you can remember anything, just so you can parrot it back for the test. And I got this idea for a school I would like to start. Something called the 5-minute university. And the idea is that in 5 minutes, you learn what the average college graduate remembers 5 years after he or she's out of school. What the cost is like $20. That might seem like a lot of money, $20 just for 5 minutes. But that's for like a tuition, cap and gown rental, graduation picture, snacks, everything included. You know, like in college, you have to take a foreign language. Well, at the 5-minute university, you can have your choice. Any language you want, you can take it. Say if you want to take Spanish, what I teach you is, ¿Cómo está usted? That means, how are you? And the answer is, muy bien, means very well. And believe me, if you took 2 years of college Spanish, 5 years after you're out of school, ¿Cómo está usted? Muy bien, about all they're going to remember. that's all you learn. You see, you don't have to waste your time with the conjugations, vocabulary, all that junk. You just forget it anyway, now what's the difference? Economics, supply and demand. That's it. Business is you buy something and you sell it for more. Theology, I'm going to have a theology department, since I'm a priest, all right. And what you have to learn in theology is the answer to the question, where is God? And the answer is, God is everywhere. Why? Because he likes you. That's a kind of a combination of the Disney and Roman Catholic philosophies. It's just perfect for the late 70s, early 80s, Just perfect. Well, after the courses are all over, then it's a time for a little Easter vacation. No time to go to Fort Lauderdale, only lasts like 20 seconds. But what I do for you, I like to turn on a sun lamp. I give you a little glass of orange juice. That's in the snack part, orange juice. And then after vacation, after you swallow it real quick, then it's a time for the final exams. I say to you, como está usted? You say, muy bien. Where is God? God is everywhere. Economic supply and demand. Then I put on your cap and a gown. I get out to my Polaroid, the camera, make a little snap and flash of pictures for you. I give you the picture. You give me $20, I give you a diploma, and you're a college graduate, ready to go. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure, right next door to the 5-minute university, I might open up a little law school. You got another minute?
Okay, so for law school, you have to have 6 minutes. That's it. But it's not possible to get a diploma in 5 minutes. We know it. But there is something in here. The underlying reason for this man coining this kind of concept is the memorization part. The students are passive receivers of knowledge all the time, or most of the time in classroom. If you not pay attention to the classroom and task design, and also if you are not becoming some kind of designers, facilitators, guides to the students. If you just want to give some kind of info and transfer it to the students and test them with multiple choice, so this can become a reality. In 5 minutes we can do it. In Turkish, we most of the time say as a joke, after the university education or after my high school years, all those more than 1,000 hours of English learning, I just know how are you and never are you. Okay, this is the reality. If this is the reality, then 5-minute university is a reality then. So, we particularly in this information and technology age, we are bombarded with, we are cemented with information that we cannot handle like our ancestors did in the past. Since information is relatively less, as we know in the past, one man, one academician can become the expert of many fields, but right now it's not possible. Okay, so we must do something that turns our students from being SpongeBobs, okay, being passive receivers of knowledge, into problem solvers, innovators, interpreters, so on. And with a flipped classroom approach, our aim is to create such environments, engaging environments, motivating environments, and we have to eliminate the 5-minute university with the design of all those flipped classrooms. Otherwise, if you come across a high school, if you come across a prep school in the university, after 2 years, when we want to talk a prep school graduate, okay, in English, he or she says nothing to me, okay? Hocam, I can write, I can solve the multiple choice questions, A, B, C, D, I can fill in the blanks, So he or she called himself in the blanks generation because he cannot talk. Language is all about communication, and if we just give them some tasks and give them some kind of information, and if they don't use this information for problem solving, for language, in our case language, for communication, then all those years actually is futile. Okay. Now, please look at the graphic. It is sad to state that education is set up in a way so that the students remember stuff for the coming test and regurgitate the information when the test time comes. After these tests, students lose much of the information they studied for the test. This is most of the time, unfortunately, a reality. Yeah, in the midterm, they got A. In the final exam, they got B's, for instance. But at the end of the year, when you do the test again, their scores are not like this. So retention is a really great, a huge problem, and it's a burden on both the students and also the teachers. This graphic is taken from a scientific publication. It's not about education. It's about measuring the brain activity with a wearable wrist-like device. The brain activity in class time is similar to, as you see, watching TV. While we're watching TV, actually, if we are not watching Dexter or some engaging movies or soap operas, then our brain is like this. And when we compare class time with TV watching, they are really the same, because while watching TV, we are passive receivers of knowledge, while in the classroom, if we just listen direct instruction from our teachers, from our professors, then it has the same influence on us. So we have to do something in here. We are to a great extent passive receivers of the information presented in the classroom. So this means that if we teachers are in lecture modes most of the time in the classroom, we can make no difference between TV watching and the students in front of the classroom watching the teacher telling something and trying to learn it. Okay. With the flipped classroom approach, we are not actually flipping our classrooms. We are flipping our pedagogy, our pedagogical understanding. This is the reality. It's a contrastivist move where students are taking more responsibility for their own learning with the assistance, with the planning, with the facilitation factor of the teacher behaving as guides on the stage, inside the classroom or outside the classroom. We experience a transition from a lecture mode to an instructional designer with the flipped classroom. In it, teachers are not active transformers of the information, of the knowledge, but organizers, planners, and designers who create an appropriate sequence of lessons for students to get most of the time in class and out of the classroom. Now here, let's slide the cards on the table. It's really important. I am telling my own point of view as a researcher and teacher. Previously flipped his classrooms many times, did some kind of publications, got cited more than 400 times, and this is in the end what I come with. Simple words such as lecture videos, inversional, in-class and out-of-class can only come when we think of flipped classroom. A sound pedagogy, instructional design, a huge shift in instructional approaches are the concepts that should come to our minds when we think of the flipped classroom. This is really very important. In the flipped classroom approach, as teachers, educators, instructional designers, we are trying to make absolute changes in the sequence of our lectures. The students founded in 1957. All the teachers wanted something from researchers. How we arrange the learning objectives of the lecture then comes with the nouns. But in 2002, Krathwohl and his colleagues, one of the members of the 1957 committee, again rearranged this Bloom's taxonomy. Remember, understand, they just changed nouns to words, and also in the previous taxonomy in 1957, they just did some kind of a higher education, and they just also focused on the test. But in the new taxonomy, there are also the K-12 stages and also alternative assessments. So, in a flipped classroom, as we all say, low-level balloons inside the class, like remember and understand, applying is to some extent, even if it's shown here as the lower-order thinking skills. If we learn something, understand something, and if we try to apply it to something, then again, we are to some extent approaching to the higher-order thinking skills. I think Bloom, his friends, and Kraftfeld is not really getting some truth in here, okay? I'm not Bloom, I'm not Kraftfeld, but I'm thinking like this. In a flipped classroom, if you say inside the classroom, we just high-level balloons outside the classroom, low-level balloons inside the class. I write it vice versa, because what I believe is, if we design the flipped classroom, I mean, if we integrate some tasks with careful planning inside and outside the classroom, it is not possible. Okay, we can develop our students' lower order thinking skills and also higher order thinking skills outside the classroom. Okay, I do not accept that the lower order thinking skills will be the outside class work and the higher order thinking skills with the teachers, many activities inside the classroom, the higher order thinking skills. Okay, I am not into it, because if you plan the outside classroom really well, if you think every step of the flipped classroom, so the students, your students will have the chance to think, will have the chance to apply, will have the chance to create something also outside the classroom. Okay. It is the designer mode, instructional designer mode. It is like connecting dots or putting the pieces of a puzzle together. There are many variables we need to take into consideration while we are flipping our classroom. All become an important part of the learning design process, our content, teaching and learning models, and also the technology that we want to integrate this process. This is my point of view, this is the way I look. If we carelessly integrate technology for the sake of integrating or using technology into classroom, actually you are killing all those magic moments that students can learn in the classroom. Do not go very far. If we pay attention to the teachers and teacher educators using PowerPoint in the classroom, most of them, not all of them, okay, reading from the slide parts, most of the students think like that. I'm working in Istanbul at Yıldız Technical University, and my students are coming from Üsküdar, coming from Küçükçekmece. Okay, these are 2 hours to Yıldız Technical University, within the traffic 4 hours, coming and going. Okay, I think if you want to read these from the slides, then please don't in a hush. Send the slides through a Moodle, an LMS, through Moodle, or through email, or through a WhatsApp group. So, in the hands of skillful teachers, technology will add many things to the classroom learning and outside the classroom learning. But in the hands of the teachers not paying special attention to how to use this technology, what is my aim for using this technology? What are the connections between the usage of this technology with my learning objectives? What are the relationship between my needs of students and the use of this kind of technology? I particularly work on computer-assisted language learning, and I definitely come to believe that the addition of random technological aspects into our design process puts nothing more than confusion to our lectures. Some kind of Web 2.0 tools, there are hundreds, if not thousands of these tools. Every day we can start our classes inside or outside with a very, very neat tool. Okay, these might have a novice effect on the students. They like 10 minutes? Okay, sorry. Because I believe that non-technology carries an inherent effect on learning. This is evidence-based. There is some research in here, okay, that shows technology is effective, but we are talking about the control and experimental groups. Imagine that This is quasi-experimental. We cannot do some kind of true experimental studies in the education unless we want to thread the eyes when they are looking in what time. So this is true experimental. But if you want to say design an experimental study, quasi-experimental study, if you have the control group, okay, here, and if you have the experimental group, and in this group, we're going to use flipped classroom, we have to have the pre-test and post-test, and in the pre-test, we come to the conclusion that both groups are near the same, and there is no significant change between the scores of the groups, then we can start the experiments. Within 14 weeks, imagine that we use the flipped classroom in here, we use the traditional one. In studies, when we use traditional, we have to elaborate on what traditional is. Because from my point of view, traditional is something different. From your point of view, traditional can become something really very different. So, forget about this. At the end of the semester, after 14 weeks of intervention, then you have the statistics, significance, and meaningful changes in favor of the flipped classroom, I mean the experimental group. But this is just a quasi-experimental study. You cannot control all other parameters. When the students in the classroom listening to you, are they with you? Are they in love with someone thinking while you're doing your lecture? Is there any kind of trouble things at their homes with their moms and fathers, with their dads? So they are thinking of them. Is it something like what I'm gonna eat at lunch? I have no money. So these are the parameters, and in experimental studies, we accept all these parameters are same within the two groups. The only difference is the approach, the intervention that we are doing, the flipping part. So this is quasi-experimental. And all the findings from these studies are to some extent misleading and should be considered within the concept of these limited frame. Okay, flipped classroom is really good. Using graphic novels is really effective in teaching figurative idioms because I get all those results from my experimental study. But I have many parameters that are not under my control. So in education, when you see a publication, please be cautious about the results, okay? They cannot be generalizable because you cannot reach the whole population and lead your experiments. Now, in a flipped classroom, most of the use of technology is videos. However, in language learning, if we adopt a flipped classroom approach, the success does not come from the use of these videos, or I may say from the growing availability of technology. Success actually comes from the learning and teaching environment as an entire ecology, consisting of content, teaching model and learning model, and also the technology. We need to go beyond lecture content, capture videos. So here, before we go further, within 10 minutes, thank you very much, let me talk a little bit about pedagogy and technology. According to Merriam-Webster, pedagogy is the art of science, profession of teaching, especially in education. Here, pedagogy is more related to teaching approaches, methods, techniques, but we should not forget that pedagogy is shaped by teacher beliefs about what's important in teaching. So there is a direct relationship between pedagogy. Pedagogy is changing very slowly. Technology is changing very rapidly. So we have to connect the dots between pedagogy and technology. Within the literature, we know that pedagogy is the blood of technology in classrooms. Within the literature, pedagogy before technology is a very sloganish way of saying. It's a motto-like saying, put pedagogy first and technology next. Okay, this bears some kind of truth. I agree with it, but technology and digital tools dictate our pedagogy from time to time. So they both have influences on one another, and when we think of them together, both affect one another. When you use some kind of technology with a pedagogical approach, you cannot imagine how that use of technology will change the way you start with that pedagogy. So rather than accepting this pedagogy before technology, please let's accept both affect one another, both have influences one another. And there's a nice article on the internet The Technology Card and the Pedagogy Course in Online Teaching by Tussi and Nicole, 2021. This is my way of understanding. This is my own digital compass. From my point of view, there are four pillars, four main reasons that make the use of technology in language teaching or any other teaching environments meaningful. So these reasons will have huge effects on when to choose the use of technology or when not to choose technology, leave it outside the classroom. This is the white text. From my point of view, yeah, I want to add some kind of technology for reasons of collaboration, interaction, communication, and cooperation. These are four pillars. If I want to add some kind of technology into my teaching, then I want to ask myself, what can change with the use of this technology? And then comes autonomy, motivation, creativity, and engagement of this one. In a flipped classroom, all these things are relevant. As teachers, educators, and instructional designers, we are trying to make absolute change in the sequence of our lectures. The students become consumers of information outside the class, and they internalize the information that they acquire out of the classroom. While I actually think that we can create both in-class and out-class an active learning space. Yes, we check their understanding of the contents in class, use engaging activities, make motivating tasks and discussions in class, but limiting out of class only the transfer of information or in line with the Bloom's cognitive taxonomy, lower the thinking skills like remembering, it means that we are paying the needed attention to instructional design, and also we are not reaping the benefits of technology, because with the use of some kind of technologies, we can also put into action the higher order thinking skills of the students outside the classroom. Okay. So, in flipped classroom, normally we adopt some kind of LMS. There are many LMSs in the market, and I divide the LMSs into 3.5. Okay, but I have no 5 minutes. Okay, or 10 minutes. Okay. So Moodle is okay. It's ready to learn Moodle. Okay, in 1 week you can learn Moodle, but it takes more than 1 year to be an expert on using Moodle. And also there are some LMSs, learning management system like Edmodo. There is no technical burden on you as a teacher. If you're using Facebook, if you're using WhatsApp, Edmodo, sharing what you eat with friends in Kızılay, okay, then you can easily use Edmodo with many functions. And in the classroom, I just want to flip my classrooms if it is okay, if the lessons contents are really suitable with it, if the learning needs of my students are fixed in the scope of the flipped classroom. Okay, so please decide when to choose flipping and when not to choose flipping. These are most of the rigorous selection of Web 2.0 tools that I use when I flip my classroom and try to send some kind of tasks, activities to the students. This is not related with flipped classroom, but a technology user or choice in our lessons should start with a reason. In this study, I chose to use 4 Web 2.0 tools. Okay, 3-sided, but I have a reason. Why? To encourage brainstorming. The participants were given an educational problem and asked to create solutions to the problem. Padlets, you know it. We all use it. I think one Padlet is doing many things. Okay, it's like forming the Voltron. Okay, all in one section in Padlet. Why I use Padlet? To summarize the lecture content as an exit ticket. I have a reason. Okay, if I don't have a reason, then leave all those technological tools, digital tools, outside your classroom or inside your classroom. Flipgrid to stimulate discussion around the given topic. Google Docs to create an information gap activity where participants were collaborative. These are my reasons. This is 2 pages article. It's a research and practice article in a good journal. This is just one example of my Philippine classroom, teaching receptive skills. This is related with the outside of the classroom. I use Web 2.0 tools, which is Blend Space. It is like becoming a website designer with no technical knowledge. You just drag and drop your sources into these boxes and send the link to your students. Okay, the students can then complete here, you see there are 6 sections in here. It starts with a required text to read before the class, then comes my lecture video and another external video regarding the subject. The students then complete a quiz related with these required texts and also the videos. After the quiz, they answer an open-ended question. These are all for the outside class, not inside. After the quiz, they answer an open-ended question, and at last, they have a task to do before coming to the lesson. I use many modalities in here, and I combine them by using a creation tool, as I said before, lens space. Okay, this is my lecture video. I skipped the PDF. This is the video lesson content I created by using Camtasia, a video editing tool. This is an active video, which also includes some questions that my students are required to answer at the time of watching to complete the video. Without completing the questions in the video, they cannot come to an end, okay? Video also includes a task by students recording voices with an audio recording tools like Voice Spice. The students can listen to the answers of their classmates, which creates a peer learning environment. So they record their voices about the task, what are the challenges of teaching, listening, then they also see their friends' comments. Other classroom contents, again, a video, an external video. I believe that if you want to use videos from YouTube or TED.com or any other video site, we have to be also in there because our students are ours, okay? They have the familiarity with our voice, they have the familiarity with our gestures, they have the familiarity with our talking. So this is the external video I use. I also use add comments to the video because I believe even if we use external videos from YouTube or another website, we should be in there for our students. 5 minutes, thank you. This is the quiz part, which my students, okay, I'm turning back to here. I'm going through these steps. This is the quiz part which my students take. The quiz checks whether they understand the lesson content or not before coming to the lesson. And this is another part of my out-of-class content. I ask an open-ended question. The students can write their answers, and again, they can see the answers of their classmates. And this is the last part of my out-of-class content. Actually, flipped learning puts huge burden on the teachers. Organization is really very difficult. I mean, thinking all those little steps and becoming an instructional designer in every step is really a very huge burden. It's not just, I mean, being in front of the camera and transfer the knowledge through some kind of screencasting or something like that. This is not flipped learning from my point of view. And the last part of my out-of-class content, I gave a task to the students which includes the summarization of the lesson content with an infographic. This is an exit ticket for these students to go out of my out-of-class content. I also want them to ask 3 questions to be discussed in class. By the integration of many tools, I did something related, if we say Bloom's taxonomy. In here, there is peer learning. In here, there is discovery learning. In here, there is some kind of discussion. In here, they are summarizing something. These are the high-order thinking skills, or at least create all those skills. Before I finish, it's time actually to bring my talk. 1 minute? Just, okay. I am a strong believer of teachers' dominant place, a key role in education. They are the most important factors in the equation of education, quality of education. Before I finish, I hope that throughout this talk, I can achieve to emphasize the importance of instructional design in flipped learning or flipped approach or flipped classroom. I'm sure, I'm 100% sure that we are all on the same boat and on the same page. Let me put in this way, I am 100% sure that both in and out of classroom planning or flipped classroom is important, and flipped learning demands attention for both segments of it. We have to put better food on the table for our students. While doing this, I know we can push a button and achieve this, but I'm looking on the bright side. Even tiny moves towards such an effort can make huge and tremendous difference in the way how we flipped our classroom. Thank you very much.
We thank Dr. Başal for his inspirational talk. Now I would like to invite Dr. Kaçar to present his plan.
Thank you, Dr. Başal, for this inspirational and thought-provoking speech.
Thank you. Thank you.